Yes, excellent, excellent. This is a very nice one and a very important one. You know, it is very important to understand that man was created as a relational being. So we always say, you know, I remember we once at a house with young people and there was a goldfish in a bowl. And they forgot to give this goldfish food for about something like a month or so, you know. But the fish didn't die. But if you take the fish out of the water, it will take you more or less maybe 15 minutes and the fish will be dead. So the story that we can learn out of that, or the lesson, is that you can get very well for a long time without food or feeding. Eventually you will die. But the important thing is the moment you get out of your atmosphere, you will die very quickly. Man was made for the atmosphere of relationships. And that is very important. Our atmosphere is relationships. Although we do business, we have family and everything, and whatever we may do, it's all in the context of the atmosphere of relationships. Man cannot prosper outside of the atmosphere of relationships. And that is very important. We need to get sorted out in terms of relationships. Relationships will, in a certain sense, not make you directly money, but it is maybe the most influential thing that will determine how much money you will make at the end of the day. Because your relationships determine your whole functioning of yourself. And to do business is very important, but how you do business will very much depend also on one of the things, a very important thing is your relationships. They say 85% of your success in a business or in a career will be determined by your ability to handle relationships with other people, and not in the first place the skill of that specific business. Now, I don't want to play off the one against the other, but the point is that more people are sitting in a mess because of relationships as they want to acknowledge at the end of the day. And we need to step up in all of these relationships because relationships is the atmosphere of our life. We've got basically 7 relationships. The 7 relationships is, number 1, your relationship with God. That is the origin of everything in your life. Then it's the relationship with yourself. That is the most difficult relationship you will ever have on earth. Then it's the relationship with your spouse. That's supposed to be the most beautiful relationship, enjoyable relationship on earth. And the 4th one is your family and your extended family. Your 5th relationship is your relationship with money or your career. And then the 6th relationship is with friends, and the 7th relationship is with the community. I'm not going into all of this, but all of these 7 relationships is very important. The way we define wealth depends on the average of the wellness of all these 7 relationships. Riches is defined by money, but wealth is not defined by money in the first place. Wealth is defined by the average of all the 7 relationships. You can be very rich and make a lot of money, but not a wealthy person, because you steal time from the other relationships to run number 5, and that is your business and your career. But the other 5 will determine at the end of the day the future of your career and your money. I've seen so many people, getting divorced and they're losing everything they have in their lives. And that is not a very good thing. They get so distracted and everything runs so in turmoil in themselves that they cannot keep on running their business. So remember, the first thing we said is that relationships is the atmosphere of man. The second thing is that we have the 7 relationships that determine the wealth of your life. Wealth is in the first place the soundness and the healthiness of your 7 relationships coming together. The third thing that's very important that I want to say, let's say as an introduction, and that is also a very, very important thing. We talk about man is spirit, soul, and body. And the soul of man consists of will, emotions, and mind. The important thing of the soul is that basically all your relationships is run in the emotions. Your will and your mind is sort of only an infrastructure that is in your in your relationships. But basically all of your relationship is run in the emotions. And it is here that we get into very much trouble. You know, when we read the Bible says to us, you know, get rid of the things of the flesh, jealousy, strife, hatred, and all these things. You can go and read it there in various places in Galatians and Colossians. And all of those things are emotions. You see, we are tripped by our own emotions. To have your emotions under control and to have discipline in your emotions is basically to have discipline in your relationships. And we do not often associate our emotions with our relationships. And at the end of the day, most of your relationship is lived in the emotions, because the emotions gives color to everything. But the biggest problem with emotions is that you can build nothing on emotions. It is only there to give color. But if the color is wrong, it stirs up a lot of other darkness colors in other people that at the end of the day is not very good for your relationships. So that's very important to understand that your relationships is run and experienced in your emotions. But remember, you cannot build on your emotions. You cannot even build your relationships on emotions. But you need your emotions to have all these relationships. Because in giving utterance, as I sit here and I speak to you, there's a lot of emotion, there's passion, there is excitement in the whole thing, or it is just a dead thing. We need emotions to color our relationships. But if it's wrongly colored, you will get a lot of turmoil in your relationships. So if you want to make a success in your relationships, you need to be very, very serious about your emotions and to get the discipline and the discipleship lifestyle in your emotions. Because your emotions is the, let's say, the medium in which you live your relationships. But of course, part of it is what you think of the other person, what you think of life, what you think of yourself, what you think of God, the decisions that you've made in life, the decisions that you make at the moment. So it's not that the will and the mind is not involved in the relationships, but giving expression and in the active handling of the relationship, emotions is very important. Maybe I can just say here that I've got a course on relationships called Relationship Wise. It's a very important course, I think, for every person. You can find it on my website, www.lifewise.co.za, lifewise.co.za. You see, there are different phases in relationships. You're not in every phase. There's 5 phases in relationships. There is a certain sign that you are out of a certain phase. You need to understand it. You need to understand until which point you must go with which people, because you cannot be in phase 5 with all the people on earth. So you need to understand the working of relationships, the pillars of relationships, the content of relationships, and all these things that you can get there in the manual, video, audio, and it's all for free. So to come back here is that we've said that the atmosphere in which we live is relationships. There's 7 relationships, and the expression that we live in these relationships is in the emotions. And we need to desperately deal with our emotions to have successful relationships in our own lives. We often talk about you know, to have a relationship with people, you must have built a emotional bank with people. Because what we talk about is that there is something like emotional energy. You know, I've seen so many people having great visions for great things, and it's beautiful visions, nothing wrong with it, but not having the energy in their relationships to live it, not having enough passion, maybe, as we've talked last time, to stand through all the times of accusations and problems and difficult times where you need to write the test in your relationships. but to just focus on this one thing, the emotional energy. You need emotional energy for relationships. I mean, all of us know that, you come home after a long day, with lots of things happening, and you come home drained. Why? You are drained in your emotional side, because there is something like an emotional tank in you. And the emotional tank need to be filled by God, filled by family, filled by time off with yourself, and educating yourself, and lots of things that's happening in terms of how you fill the tank of your own emotional life. We know, people do not have lots of aspirations to be a good mother, but let me tell you, there's nothing so emotional draining than to be a good mother. Because a mother is an emotional tank out of which is drained constantly. The success of motherhood doesn't lie in anything professional, but to be an emotional tank that never gets empty. That is the biggest thing. And most people do not know how to stay filled in that tank. Maybe we can just quickly deal on that. How do you get filled and remain filled? The only way to get filled in your own life, this emotional energy, is to know what is your identity, is to find your own identity in the eyes of God, in the face of God, to know who you are according to Him, not according to maybe other people, but according to Him. Who are you? So the only way to get fulfillment and to fill your emotional tank is to get to the point of knowing who you are. We've talked a lot already about it, because that is where you find your passion. The only way to keep fulfilled is to help other people to stand up in their own identity and to give this away to other people, is to get involved in other people. And that's not only spiritually, it's in business, in everything, wherever you go, is to flow over into other people's lives. Man is a relational being. He's born out of intimacy. He's born out of community. He gets raised in community. He goes out of a house and he starts a new community. And all of this community spells out relationship. All of this relationship spells out emotional flow. Relationship is the flow of life from one heart to another heart. All of this can get draining. It's flowing from one person to another person. And if you do not have something that can flow, you will not live your vision, how big and how beautiful it can be. The only way to fill this tank is to get to know yourself in the eyes of God. And the only way to keep it filled is to be involved in other people's lives, to live in a flow from your heart and your life through a relationship into other people's lives. That is the only way you get it and you keep it. That is a whole, let's say, teaching on its own. But the point is, this emotional tank gets lots of draining capacity on it from the outside, from other people and situations and difficult circumstances. It's like there's sometimes leaks in our tanks, and our emotional energy get drained. And I've seen so many people with beautiful visions, but they are living a drained life. And there's not enough emotional energy to start up and handle the things that in front of them, because there's too many chapters open in their lives. Now, what do I mean? There's too many chapters open in their lives. Where I remember buying my first computer, a 286 computer. When you start to open up the third program, it starts to hang, everything hang, Then you realize the CPU cannot handle a third program. You need to, the capacity of the CPU is not enough to handle 3 programs simultaneously. You need to close something to go on, because it's too much for the capacity of the computer. Nowadays, it's not a problem. You open 10 programs because the CPU and the RAM and everything has got lots of capacity. So in those days, it is, I always say people are living, you open up a program, a Word, and then you open up Outlook, and then you open up maybe Excel or whatever. But at the end of the day, people have too many opened programs on the computer of their life. And all of them are maybe minimized here at the bottom. And one is open, but the other is open, but it's minimized. But it's also drawing from the CPU, the core and the heart of the computer that's handling all these transactions and things you want to do. So all these open things on the bottom bar of your computer, whatever it's called, is drawing from energy and capacity from that CPU. And nowadays, you need to open up a lot of things before you get troubles. But in those days, it's like, people do have lots of open programs in their relationships, unsolved problems, chapters that's not closed, a fight with this person, a fight with their mother, things that's not closed, a misunderstanding between maybe you and your wife or your spouse, whatever it may be, unsolved problems that is minimized. We don't deal with it. It is one of the most important things I saw in having and in helping people to get somewhere in life, is to help them to deal with all these unsolved problems, is to help them to get all those those minimized programs open, face it, deal with it, talk to it, settle it, forgive it, whatever it's needed to deal with it. Talk with the people, close the program that it can stop drawing from the computer. I've got so many people I've seen, in ministry coming to me. Then it's lovely people, beautiful people. There's nothing wrong with them. They are just totally drained. Then later on you get sicknesses out of this. They can't face you. They can't talk to you even. They get at a point of collapsing because there's too much drawing power. But the drawing power is no longer from the outside. It's from the inside. It's all these relationships that's not solved. It is open chapters that is drawing power. People go to sleep. They stand up in the morning. They are exhausted after 6-8 hours sleep. They are exhausted because they never slept. Because the open chapters and the minimized things, programs in the computer of their life is drawing power all night long. It is exhausted. It's a life of total exhaustion. If you don't stand up in the morning with passion and vibrance and energy, there's some programs that's drawing too much power. You need to face it. You need to close it, because you cannot open up a business that will draw enormous lot of emotional energy. And although the business is all about organization and strategy and all these things, all of those things takes energy. You need energy for the whole process. There's nothing wrong with people. There's only lots of problems wrong with their relationships. And the biggest reason I've seen people do not reach success in their lives in terms of business, it's not because they do not have a business. It's not because they do not have an idea. It's not because they are bad people or anything like that. It's because they do not deal with their relationships, because you cannot deal with all these things simultaneously. You must get it together. You must get to a point where you close these chapters and you open up these minimized programs. That is, a program is like a relationship, with your father, with your mother, with people at work and wherever, with yourself. You need to open up these programs with all these troubled things in it. And yes, you maybe ignore it. Maybe you just try not to think of it, but it's there. It's there. It's drawing constant energy. And you need to deal with it to live the success that's already in you. It is not that people do not have success. We've already talked about it. The success is in you. But there is not energy and a flow to manifest it. It cannot get to the outside because I'm too much off focus, and I'm everything in me keeps me living inside of me and not outside of me. And I don't get to the point where I deal with the things. that is inside and at the past and whatever. So you need to look your past in the face till there's no person that troubles you. Yeah, you must be the place where you can think of any person in life, and there must not be any negative emotional energy around any name that any person can name to you. It doesn't matter whatever the person has done to you. If there's a person and I give you the name and there's a negative energy released in you by hearing the name, it's because there is a program that needs to be opened and dealt with and get over. And don't allow other people to steal your energy that you need to live successfully for your own life. That's very, very important, people. That is what this is all about in your life. That we need to reserve the energy for what we do 8 hours a day in our business and wherever we go. We need to leave the past behind. That is extremely important. 80% of all human energy is spent in the past. 80% of all energy that people spend today was spent on something that happened in the past. And if you think about our society, I mean, our whole police force is there, and I'm not saying it's wrong, but this is where we end up, is there to deal with something that happened. Then we take them to a justice system about something that happened. We take them to a correctional service about something that happened. You enter the hospital, it's about sickness that happened. Most people are living in the past, and I'm not saying they're living in sin of anything, if you can say it like that, but man is constantly trying to deal with his past. You need to get past the past. You need to deal with the past. I'm not saying that we must not have careers in those things, but we must stop living in the happening of those type of careers to be this person. And are you still dealing with something someone has stolen from you? Get over it. Release it. Forgive the person. Close the chapter. Go on. Don't let the sun goes down when you haven't dealt with the thing completely and fully. Deal with it and just go on in life. You need to forgive people. We always say we are Christians, but the most powerful thing we have as believers is that we can love people in all circumstances. And the most important thing in love is forgiveness. It's the ability that we have to forgive. That doesn't say we accept that people steal and we accept that people can hurt us and it's fine that it happens. No, it's not fine. Nothing of this is fine. It's wrong. But don't let people bring their disturbed lives into your life, because they live disturbed lives and how they want to steal from you, they accuse you, they attack you, whatever. Don't let them with their disturbed lives into your life, into your relationships. Keep them outside. How? Forgive them, release them. Release them and give them to the Lord so that He can deal with them. And get over all this disappointment. Yes, it's not easy. It's not easy stuff we're talking about. Sometimes, really, really difficult and really horrible things happen to people. But how horrible it can be. They crucified Jesus and then He still forgave everyone that crucified Him. And we crucified Him. Our sin crucified Him and He forgave us. So how big can it be that you forgive? I mean, the only thing that made Jesus not kept to the cross was the fact that He forgave us. If He didn't forgive us, He was on the cross forever. He wouldn't have raised out of that grave. You see, don't allow other people to, and in their distress and their disappointment and all their stuff, bring it into your life and then make it a problem in your life. Forgive people. And stop living thinking of the past and arguing around the past and what if and what if and what if. The if will never happen. It's over. There's no if. In God's world, there's only a now. There's a now that we live in, an eternal now that we live in, where I have the decision now to forgive, to go on, to focus on the future, to start building something new, and all these things. We need to get to a point where we really quiet all these voices in our lives. You know, the voice of your bank manager, the voice of your wife, the voice of your children. There's many, many voices in our lives. Excuse. And it's not that you need to get these voices out of your life. You just need to quiet them in the sense that they are not constantly in your ears. There must be peace in all these relationships so that that voice is not constantly in your mind and you're thinking about it and it's distracting you from the focus of what you are sent for to do on this earth in terms of career and in terms of ministry. We've said that there's two train tracks. There is a governmental career business track and there is a relational family track. The one is money, all about money. The other one is all about relationships. Tonight we talk about this relationship one. We live our lives in this relationship thing. We go in relationship and out of our relationships to work, and you must be able to leave your relationships at home and not draw all the turmoil with you all the day long. Then, so when you work, you need to be able to focus. You need to be quiet in yourself. There must not be a lot of people that's got voices constantly. You know, people sometimes, I put off the notifications on my phone. Otherwise, you know, it sounds like a circus. I don't get focused. You know, I was sent with a life to live. I wasn't sent to wait for someone to give me an order or whatever. Yes, every 2 hours I look on my phone and I see what's there and I deal with it. But it's important. I need to focus. I need to focus on what I was sent to do. Yes, and to deal with the people that's part of this focus. I cannot just attend to everyone and everything, you know, and everyone that's got your number and sent you something here. I cannot work like that. Because much of the things that's come over my phone is primary things. It's not secondary things. It's not primary things. So it can wait maybe 2 hours at the end of the day. And because I need to be quiet and focused on what I was sent to do. One of the most important things is that you must be able to discern when you stand up this morning is that what is the primary thing that will change your day, that will change your life, that will change your business, and that will change your future. You need to do those things, not sit and pondering about this and, you know, and basically 99% of the stuff that's going on Facebook and Twitter and all these things are secondary stuff that's not going to change your life. You need to decide for yourself what is distraction and get this distraction that is voices. Social media is voices in our own lives. We invite just more and more and more voices into our own life. And yes, it can serve you if you are in control of it. But if you are not in control of it, it will demobilize you. It will take your energy and you will not be able to discern what is primary and to do what is necessary for what is the success of your life. And it will not manifest at the end of the day. You must be able to discern it. You see, we were sent to live proactive lives, not reactive lives. Remember these two words, proactive, not reactive. The interesting thing is that when you look at these two words, you will see that it is the same letters in both words. The difference is only where is the C, creative life and a proactive life. Sorry, reactive and proactive, but we are sent to say creative life. The Christ, the C is the Christ. We are here to live a creative life. We need to discern what is the thing in my life that is the punchline, the passion and the thing that needs to get done today. So a creative life is a proactive life and not a reactive life. And you can see reactive and proactive. It's different at the end of the day. Okay, I do not want to go further on to that. So get caught in life and in relationships. There's two forces working. It is fear and love. There's two worlds in this world. There's a world of darkness and there's a world of light. The world of darkness is ruled by fear and all this thinking around fear. The world of light is ruled about the love of God. And you need to find yourself in the world of love, where there is proactiveness, where there is energy, where there is emotional capacity, where there's vibrancy. Because a life of fear is a life where you react towards things that's coming from the outside. But the creative life is a life out of the love that is inside of you. You love people, you love your work, you love your day, you love everything you're doing. You're looking forward, you live a life where there's a flow from the inside to the outside. You do not live a reactive life where you constantly respond to things that's coming from the outside. I'm just dodging, you know, how do I say, you know, you just keer net vir jou wickets, soos hulle sê op die einde van die dag. No, we're living a life where we set the pace, where we live out of a life of energy, of passion to the outside. And whatever we do in that manner. You know, I know a lot of people in my life, and sometimes, you know, I know a lot of people that's, you know, slow moving, they're not these visionaries and whatever, you know, but they are extremely wealthy people today because they live a creative life. They live with relationships with people. They live with character. People that they depend, people know you can depend upon their word. They are not these flashy people, but they live constant lives. Whatever they do and whatever they say, you can count on it. Because that is the life that will release the success out of you. It is not your personality type in the first place. It is not, are you extrovert or introvert in the first place. It is how do you live. Your relationships with people will determine 85% of your success. 85% of your success. Let me tell you one thing. The most potential people I've seen in my whole life are extremely extrovert people. But very few of those people have reached success in their lives because they do not live, they do not guard their relationships. I can tell you, I can name you 5 more people in my life that I know are extremely capable people in building big businesses. No one of them, or very few of them, have succeeded because they do not guard their relationships. I know more people that are introverts that have built good businesses because they guard their relationships. They live constant lives. They're not in the skies and then in the mud and up and down. They live constant lives, and people know what they have in relationships with them. I just want to close off with maybe 2 things. There's a verse of scripture in where is it? In Isaiah 65, verse 16 to 17, that's saying to us that so that he who blesses himself in the earth shall be blessed by the God of the truth, and he that swears in the earth shall swear to God of truth, because the former troubles are forgotten, because they are hid from the eyes of mine. It says that he that can bless himself will be blessed by the God of heaven. Let me tell you one thing. The Bible says that we are all blessed before the foundation of the world, Ephesians 1 verse 3. All people are blessed by God, but the people that are blessed on earth are the people that can bless themselves, are people that are in peace with themselves, people that live good relationships in terms of themselves. That is very, very important at the end of the day, because the last thing I want to share with you is the fact that you must understand that life was designed as a game. I've said it already. Life is a game. It is not a survival course. It's a game. Your every relationship of your life is a game. Marriage is a game. Your relationship with God is a game. Your relationship with your children is a game. Life is a game. If you've lost the game, you've lost the relationship. That's normally that went wrong in marriage. People lost the game. They had the game, toe hulle verlief was, het hulle die spel gehad. But when they got married and the responsibilities came, they couldn't handle the pressure in their relationships and they lost the game. Nothing changed in them. They just lost the game. And you must learn to live a life of a game. That you must understand that business is a game. Everything is a game. All 7 relationships is a game. Always find the game in the relationship and you will find the success in that relationship. And that's also true of money. Money was not given as business as a survival course, as a competition to see who's the best and who's the whatever. No. We've got the game in us. We've got the success in us. You need to find that game, the pleasure in it. A game is something we enjoy. Yes, there's lots of obstacles in it. There's times of pressure and whatever. But at the end of the day, I can really say I enjoy it. I've enjoyed it completely. And you need to find that game in your life, because if you found that game, you found the passion and the core of your own life, and then you can run out of that from the inside to the outside. You don't need to produce the success on the outside. You flow from the inside to the outside. You play the game every day, and the success will start to manifest. So don't underestimate the effect and the importance of your relationships in your life. It's extremely important. I'm serious with you. It is maybe my biggest concern in people that I see that battling with business. It's not number one, all the other things. It's number one, their relationships, because they think their relationships is not important. It is the atmosphere of their lives. Going out, living in a wrong atmosphere with your relationships will, at the end of the day, produce wrong results in your business. Let me tell you, you will maybe for a time be successful because of your talents, but at the end of the day, it will catch up to you, your relationships, and it will start to infiltrate everything in your life, and you will die because of it. Yes, people say the corporate world, and we can cut off from relationships. I don't see it. You don't see it where those people fall apart. Yes, they keep up the face and they keep up things, but at the end of the day, they fall apart. They become successful in numbers, in money, but wealth in life is not only numbers in money. It is to have all 7 relationships together and to prosper in all those 7 relationships. Go to my course, Money-Wise, Relationship-Wise, on the webpage lifewise.co.za. Thank you very much.